Well, the U.S. and Russia are squaring off again over Ukraine. Senior officials are holding talks on European security issues in Geneva. Our Ashley Burke is covering the story from Washington today. Ashley, good to see you. Listen, it's Washington and Moscow at the table, but of course, Ottawa is showing strong support for Ukraine. What role does Canada play in all of this?
Exactly. Canada is supportive of these talks today. It's one of Ukraine's biggest defenders and one of the allies that the U.S. has actively engaged with to deter Russian aggression and encourage de-escalation. CBC News has learned that Canada told the U.S. it's willing to help with deterrence measures against Russia, and that could include sanctions. That conversation happened when Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken before the new year. That's according to a source with knowledge of the matter. That source also said that Joly's comments were well received by the U.S. Now, Blinken said yesterday ahead of these talks that the Biden administration has rallied countries beyond Europe, and the Kremlin is facing two options. Take a listen.
There's a path of dialogue and diplomacy to try to resolve some of these differences and avoid a confrontation. The other path is confrontation and massive consequences for Russia if it renews its aggression on Ukraine.
The New York Times is reporting that that would include sanctions, for example, cutting off Russia's largest financial institutions from global transactions, imposing a potential embargo on some American technology, even arming insurgents in Ukraine. So those are some of the possibilities. The stakes for this meeting are incredibly high.
Now, what is Canada saying about new sanctions here, Ashley?
Well, a statement to CBC News Global Affairs says that Canada already imposed a broad range of economic sanctions against more than 400 Russian and Ukrainian individuals and entities tied to this matter, but adds that Canada continues to work with international allies and partners on additional measures on this matter, and that Canada is judicious when it decides to deploy sanctions. Minister Joly has publicly said that Canada has really been focused on diplomatic and economic means to help de-escalate Russia's intentions, but that she will use all means necessary. Canada also has about 200 Canadian Armed Forces members in Ukraine as part of an international training mission. They're there helping to improve Ukrainian soldiers' combat skills. Now, heading into the talks today, Russia's deputy foreign minister says that he's disappointed by the signals they heard from Washington. And here's what NATO's NATO's Secretary General had to say.
It's not realistic to expect that when we have finished this week, when we have finished meetings that are already scheduled, that the problems will be solved. I have negotiated with Russia before as a Norwegian Prime Minister, and I know it's possible to make deals with Russia.
Now, following the bilateral meeting in Geneva today, representatives from NATO will be meeting with the Russian delegation in Brussels.
Ashley, thank you for that. The CBC's Ashley Burke in Washington.